let's gather around. Is there anybody coming in? Got one more here, two more. We'll start. We're getting ready to start. Please. Thank you. At least these, because then you can see the screen. I'll get over here. All right, welcome everyone to the September 2024, almost said 2023, the 2024 Southeast Beekeeping Club meeting. We're going to talk tonight about bears. The original plan was to just go straight out in the parking lot because we were going to set this up out there. But with the rain, we decided to go to Plan B and put it in here. But we are going to go ahead and take things a little bit out of order. We'll go ahead and do the program first, and then we'll do the announcements after that. Actually, we'll do a break then, and then we'll do announcements after that, and then we'll have questions and answers. So if you have beekeeping questions, we can just have kind of a free discussion about that. And then think about what your best embarrassing beekeeping story is, because you can tell it for Crud Cutter Confessions, and if yours is the best, you get a bottle of Crud Cutter. Where is it? There it is. Okay. Sorry. So that's the plan for this evening. So before we get too deep into it, though, I would like to just welcome everyone. Why won't it go to that? There. Okay. So I'm Ann Atkinson. I am the president for the next 4 months. And then I'm term limited out. Our vice president, Veronica Berry, isn't here. She had to go on a business trip. Our secretary is Mike Hadley. You met him when you came in the door. And our treasurer is Janice Cobb, and you also met her when you came in the door. We have 3 at-large board members, Mark Pomeroy here, and I don't see Howard here, and Christy always comes in a little bit late because she's a nurse and she has a job where she doesn't get off, I don't think, till 6, but she'll be here probably in a little while. So if there's anyone here right now who has never been to a Southeast Beekeeping Club meeting and watching on the video, either YouTube or Zoom does not count, would you please stand up so that we can get to know who you are? That's it. All right. All right. All right. Can you please tell us your name and your interest in beekeeping, and where in the area are you from?
Okay. I'm Lisa Hewlett, and I'm working at Affinity Ranch, which used to be Framingham Ranch. So we have 2 hives there, and Vance and Janice have been helping us.
Yes.
On our hives.
Oh, great. Well, welcome. Welcome. Thank you. That is a great project. All right. And you have, yes, would you please stand up and tell us who you are, what your interest is in beekeeping, and where in the area you are from?
Sure. So I'm Allison. Nice to meet you all. My interest in beekeeping is something that I briefly dabbled in the past, but never really got to fully immerse myself in, which I'd like to do. And I'm from Parker, 12 minutes.
I'm sorry, the what?
I'm about 12 minutes up north from here.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, welcome. Thank you. All right. Well, without further ado, like I said, we're going to go straight into our program. And tonight we are going to learn all about bears from Brian, who learned all about bears the hard way. So we hopefully will learn from his experience. So, Brian, you're on.
I'm sorry.
Brian is the former president of the Bee Club, and he is currently one of our 2 apiary managers for our club apiary. So I'm going to turn this over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, ma'am. Wow.
And to move, I haven't been able to get the arrow to work. Oh, there it goes. But you can hit that arrow and that will move forward.
Awesome. Thank you, Ann. I can't believe 4 more meetings to go, and then you're out as president. I used to be the president And I did it for 2 years before Ann. And I have to tell you, it was one of the most rewarding jobs. It was not something that took all my time. It really wasn't. It was emceeing the meetings and running the board meeting, and it didn't matter what my beekeeping knowledge was. It was just as kind of a facilitator, and I was honored to get to kind of drive things for the club. So now that we have these new positions that are opening up, and we're coming towards the end of the year, and a lot of people are being term limited, there's going to be new opportunities, and it's it's not like running for the HOA board. This is good stuff. So that's just something that comes to mind. But if you get the opportunity, really think about it. Not only that, the skills that I acquired over those 2 years is I got really good at talking to audiences, and I use that at work all the time. And they're like, Brian, you just keep talking and you do stuff for us and present things. And they're like, yeah, but I was in the bee club, you see. And then, so anyway, that's kind of my background. But you will get more out of it than you put into it, I think. And it's really a wonderful opportunity. So think about it as we get down to the end of the year on maybe taking on a role. So with that, let's talk about bears. You're going to see some pictures in here of my bear attack a couple years ago. It was, I think it was 2019, and I showed up at the apiary, and I was going to do an inspection, and this is what I found. Okay, here's a fun one. So you see that hive right here in the corner? Okay, do y'all remember from the Crud Cutter Confessions that picture of me with my eyes swollen shut? Okay, it was these right here. I was so excited. I got to save the bees, and I was looking for queens. I forgot to zip up my veil. So that's when we got that picture. But bears are a problem in Colorado. My wife and I, we live down Crowfoot Valley, and we keep seeing on like Nextdoor, and I've seen some personally, bears going into like Diamond Ridge, and there are bears everywhere. I didn't realize that. I couldn't believe, like I had to take a picture of somebody had on Nextdoor, picture of the bear, and send it to my sister in Iowa. I was like, you will not believe this. In my neighborhood, there's a bear. Now, I've also had my trash broken into, so we learned that as well. But my point being, there are bears everywhere. My favorite was when I was the president, and Vance over here was on the board, and we were having a club, we were having a board meeting, and he was zooming at his kitchen table, and you could see behind him, and he lives over by Castle Rock, by the rock. There's a bear in his backyard. It was awesome. There are bears everywhere. So we're going to talk a little bit about, the laws and why they're there. We're going to talk a little bit about bee fence. Yes, I created the first ever Grange bee fence. I was like, okay, typically you put the fence post in the ground and it's a little more stable, but I wanted we're going to talk about that a little bit. Bears love honey, right? Winnie the Pooh, we go for the honey. Okay, but it's not just the honey. There's more to it. There is the larvae. They really, as bears are going into the winter, they're looking for protein. They're looking for fat. Bee larva, it's there, and that's exactly what they want. If we go back for reference, my apiary, you notice each frame was taken out. The other thing, notice here on this box, when they come up to the stack, the bear will put their paw on top and try to rip it down. And every now and then I'll use boxes, and there have been a couple up here for different purposes, but I have all these boxes that the top front is ripped off. Can you kind of see it there? So they tear down the stack, and then they go through every frame. And it's like they clean it up. They take the honey. I don't know where the wax went, but they eat the wax, they eat that, but they want the larvae. Okay? Well, then they eat everything. And they cleaned me out. I was like, and they came back the next night too. And so it's a mess. So what can we do before we get into electrifying our Beeyard? Okay, there are some simple things. Now, a lot of this stuff I stole from the Colorado Division of Wildlife at the time. He came out and gave me all these pamphlets and brochures that I stole some of this material from, and also web and so forth. But one, here are the basics, right? Don't leave your food out, okay? Don't give them a reason to come to your property. If they're getting into your trash, strap the trash closed. You have to keep them out because you don't want anything that would attract them, okay? Those trash bins, that's a big deal. We see them all in the public parks, Colorado parks. They lock them, and you can go ahead and even if you know that you have a bear in the neighborhood, my father-in-law down the road, we use a tow strap, okay, to lock. He has a dumpster, just to lock the lid on the dumpster. Don't give them a reason to come back because I don't even want them in the neighborhood because all my beehives are across the street, okay? Another thing, harvesting early, right? Bees get that appetite, the voracity of wanting the larvae and the honey. Well, it all happens right before hibernation into the fall. And so this year, because my daughter was going off to college, we harvested everything early so that we could do a harvest with her. We make it a big family thing. And this is the earliest I've harvested because I'm always waiting, it seems like, waiting forever for the bees to finish capping the honey. And this year it was like, oh, no, we're going to college. So I harvested everything like mid-August, dried it out a little bit, and we were good. But what I realized was that I don't have this problem with my honey supers still out there. I've wrapped everything up early. Yeah, I was that guy who was harvesting and spinning into mid-September maybe. And so if you harvest early, there's another thing. There's not as much honey there. They can't smell it because I've had all my supers sitting in my garage for a couple weeks. And let me tell you, every time you open that door, it's like, whoo, I can smell that honey. The bears can smell too, right? And they can smell that. So getting your harvest out of the way, you're removing another temptation. Okay, now here's the other thing, strapping your hives down. This is a really important thing. I don't do it as much during the summer, and if anybody has any feelings contrary, feel free to share. I strap them down to onto my hive stands. But the other thing is that I strap them down and I go down through the hive stands and then I go underneath. And so that what I want is I use the Home Depot black and red straps, the ratchets, motorcycle straps. It's a great deal. It's like $14 for 4 of them. Great deal. And but I make it, and especially during the fall, I make sure that all those lids are on tight. Because here's what's going to happen. If the bear shows up, they're going to start swiping at the hives. They're going to pull it off the stand. It's going to tip over. Is it going to open up? Nah, not my hives, because I've strapped them down really tight. And so if we go back to the picture, there was, I don't think you can see it, but there were 2 hives that were still strapped down, and they couldn't get it off the stand. And so that's something that's easy to do going into winter. Because like during the summer, I put the brick on top or something to keep the lid on in case we have high winds. But as soon as we get into fall mode and we're winterizing, I'm strapping everything down. I'll even strap them to my stand. And then I have a couple that are on cinder blocks. But I just wrap those things up really tight. Tim?
We have a question from the internet. Are Asian giant hornets a threat to bees yet as much as bears?
I haven't seen any. I haven't seen any Asian hornets yet. You want to repeat the question? No, it was
Asian hornets.
yeah, it's the Asian hornets. Are they a threat to the beehives in Colorado, just like the bears? And I haven't seen any. I haven't heard of any in Colorado yet. So, anyone heard otherwise? No? Okay. One other thing that we started using out at our ranch, and I came across this morning, and I stuck it in the bottom of the slide. Motion lights. I went, that's awesome. My brother-in-law has them to protect the ranch where you pull in. Solar-powered floodlights that turn on with a motion sensor. I was like, that's a great idea. Okay, bears don't like the light; it startles them. So at least put something in their motion that's motion activated. They'll catch the bears. If you want to have some fun, if you ever do have a bear problem, also put a hunting camera out there so you can get some video of it. But yes, ma'am.
So we do have a bear problem. We lost all our chickens 2 summers ago to the bear that came through before I had bees.
Oh,
So my bees are behind electric and so are the chickens and everything. But my concern is, like in the spring when I was trying to feed with sugar water, like I think the reason I attracted that bear 2 years ago was my hummingbird feeder. I put one down lower on our patio area where normally I have them up on our second story deck.
yeah.
And so the sugar water is the same stuff. So I'm just wondering if anyone has any ideas on how to feed them. And I've gone out and taken it off at night, which is just obviously a pain in the butt.
Yeah, yeah.
Every night bring it in, but like, has anyone got any ideas?
Any ideas on what to do, like hummingbird feeders and so forth? But I would say put it over with your hives behind the electric fence.
No, I mean,
you know.
if I'm trying to feed the bees.
Oh, when you're trying to
Like
feed.
a workman feeder.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I feel like I kept going out this spring and taking it off every night and putting it back. And I'm like, do you think the internal feeders maybe they don't notice?
I don't think so. I don't.
I don't know. I'm afraid to leave it out. So I was just curious if anyone had any experience with it.
I don't think so. I don't think that's what they're going to smell. Mike?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they're after the sugar. It's typically fat. And, I mean, just to tie it all together, so my hives are not even a half a mile behind us out by the Crowfoot Valley. And it was trash day. So the bear just went down the street, knocked over every trash can. Blessing and a curse, came over to my hives. They're super strapped down. So it tipped the whole 3 hives strapped down to the 4x4s. Tipped the whole thing over, but I think because there was trash available, it kind of gave up fairly quickly. So it tipped all the hives over, but it didn't start ripping everything apart. And so everything the homeowner said is it's always like tangible food, like actual bird seed they'll eat, but they have 100 hummingbird feeders and they've never had any issues with like sweet stuff. So
Cool.
That's my best guess.
Thanks, Mike. Any other questions, comments? Okay, let's go. Keep going. And the other thing is, when we get a little bit further, if you do go into a situation where we start doing electric fencing and so forth, then consolidating your hives, just bringing them closer together. This is my favorite. I know it looks awful. I'm so sorry. The unwelcome mat. Okay. Now, I will tell you, if you Google this, you will find a version. There's a part of me I feel bad. There's an electric one. They hooked one up that conducts metal, and it conducts electricity, and they hooked a fence energizer up to it. So you step on it, but these are unwelcome mats. Okay, when the Colorado Division of Wildlife warden came out after my bear attack, he was like, "We do this." So if you have a place, maybe you want to install a gate and you want to do a little bit more of a permanent electric fence, okay? Well, what do you do about the gate? okay? If you want to put a whole gate in there, well, you could have put down an unwelcome mat right in front of it. You can find YouTube videos. They'll show how bears react to them. They kind of, nope, okay? You're not going to see, it's not gory. It's just enough that they catch it. They know what it is. They're not going to step on it. You could put these in front of your gate to your apiary. That's one solution there. But it's certainly a deterrent, and it's something to think about. Colorado Parks and Wildlife, CPW. I went through this extensively, and there is a lot in there, especially this website on the CPW website, Game Damage. And if you want to learn about bears and what Colorado Parks and Wildlife will do for us, that's the place to go. Okay, I'm going to read this. This is from their website. Colorado Parks and Wildlife provides landowners with immediate and temporary and or permanent solutions for the prevention of big game damage and distributes materials to qualified landowners for the protection of their crops or livestock. I believe, and Christy's not here yet, I think qualified, I think it means you have 5 hives.
That's what they told me when I tried to get it. It's a minimum of 5.
Yeah, they want you to be 5 hives is kind of commercial.
I've heard other stories in other
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah, mine was, there she is. Yes, you had that number. Was it 5 as well? 5, Diane?
I had to commit to 5.
She had,
They brought it, I only had 2 my first year, and I just talked her in, well, I promised to get some more.
and
They gave it to me.
so you committed to 5, and you got that. So this was Douglas County. You're Douglas, right? Are you Douglas County, Diane? Yeah. And El Paso is the same? 2.
In other words, I'm just saying, I talked them into it. It's not their policy.
Yeah.
But I was saying, listen, I'm gonna
But
have 2 more, and then I'm gonna get this other one, and she just said, okay.
there you go.
And they understand that your numbers are fluid. They're out
Yeah.
there.
I don't. So there's you'll see on the next slide, there's the contact us, and you can do the same. I'm guessing this is a policy for Colorado Parks and Wildlife policy. I believe it's going to be statewide. That's my guess.
Albert was 5, but the district for each officer doesn't follow the county line.
Okay, so it still may be per district or per officer. And just to read this, any landowner who has experienced or has the potential for damage to harvested or growing crops, lawful fences, orchards, nurseries, personal property used in the production of raw agricultural products, honey, or livestock by big game species may request temporary or permanent prevention materials, just like Diane did. The landowner must install the prevention material, electric fence, as specified for damage purposes only, and maintain them for a specified period. I can't remember what the period was for me. I think it was a couple years, but I still have it. Again, there's a whole lot of information in here. So, just like Diane told us, and Chrissy, you can request fencing. Diane, talk them into it, okay? If you want, you can contact your local district wildlife officer. Now, you have to go down through the Contact Us link to find out who the person is for your district. Anne reached out to CPW, and they're like, the name we had wasn't their district, and they didn't want to talk to us. But we can find out who's in this district. There is a lot of resource there. If you have a lot of hives, if you want to take it to that next level and see if you can get it from Colorado Parks and Wildlife, that's a great option for you if you want to get some electric fencing. When they brought me mine, they gave me, it was like a whole kit. They gave me that exact same solar charger, which is working 5 years later. This is another one I have. But they gave me a charger. They gave me the cables. They gave me the grounding rod. They gave me, and I'll show you in a minute, there's a picture coming up of fiberglass poles going up. And so I actually had existing cattle panels around my apiary. And then I put the fiberglass poles up, and then I put a hot wire around the top. But they gave me a bunch of stuff. So if you are for free. Is there a question? But it worked out really well. They gave me a bunch of stuff. They even gave me a little roll of fencing as well, which I used around my cattle panels. Sue, you're not going to file a claim. I had to do, thank you, Diane. I had to sign up a thing that says, I will accept this equipment, but I have to agree not to file a claim for any damages by bears incurred from this point forward.
For 20 years, and they have the landowner sign if you're not on their own property.
Yeah. There is a whole stuff database in the Lexis system. You can pull up all of the Colorado statutes and Colorado Title 33, Parks and Wildlife. You can go in and you can read the laws. Are these laws, Ann? They're statutes, which means they're what? Regulations?
They're enacted by the legislature.
Okay.
CPW has its own regulations that they just do.
Okay. Yes.
When you said claims, does that mean against them, or like your own?
Yes. Yeah. So let's say I have 5 hives down the road. I had a bear attack. Okay. Now, when I called the Colorado division, I could have filed a claim to say, you're not managing the wildlife in this district. I'm going to submit a claim for, I don't know what the number is, $200 per hive, and they would have paid me. But instead, I took their equipment. So, and so yes, you can file a claim. I never have. They can come by. They never have. Diane, did anyone visit you? No. Yeah. Yeah. You know how we talked about a game camera is really nice if you want. It also turns out you'll catch yourself doing inspections and doing stuff. This is me like 4 years ago, 10 pounds lighter. But you'll see this was my original apiary, and I had because we have cows on our property as well. It's 35 acres, a lot of cows there. So I had cattle panel going all the way around. Okay, and so we were trying to keep the cows out. And so what I did was I took these white fiberglass poles and I just attached them to my cattle panels. Okay, and then we ran 2 hot wires around the top. And what I did was my gate, I always use it right here to unlock the panels to go into the apiary. And I just went around and then I stopped so I could open the panels and the wire just kind of swings with the panels. So I could go and just close my panels. I put the latch in, I'm done, walk away. And I could leave it hot the whole time. So the fence would be energized, but I was in there working, and it was only above my cattle panels that I had the energized wire. So, and that worked out fantastic. And I was seeing at different times, like I don't know if it was cows, I don't know if it was bears, but every now and then I'd see something like scratching at the bottom of the fence. So I went through and put some rebar down in there, and I anchored the cattle panels down. And I just kind of evolved it over the years, but I never caught a bear on the game cam. There's a ton of pictures of me. Okay, that's the website, CPW, game damage. There's a whole bunch of resources on there. If you happen to end up on the Colorado Beekeepers Association website, CSBA, thank you. Colorado State Beekeepers Association website, they have references to this. It's a page called Oh Bear on the CSBA, and all the links are broken because they go to the old CPW website. But information for landowners, fencing information, how to get them to give you bare fence materials, how to do claims. It's all there. And so it's a lot of information. Now, building fences. This is fun. There are a whole bunch of designs that they have out there coming off of Division of Wildlife. Some are 8x8, 20x20. Here's the thing that this was my takeaway. You can build something really permanent if you plan it for it to be permanent. You can build something makeshift that I built in my garage today. My wife loved it, by the way. That we can put up. Now, obviously, these fence posts would be driven into the ground with a fence post driver, so it's much more solid. This design over here is really neat in that what gets energized is the fence, okay, the gate, because the fence posts go into the ground. Then there are these yellow insulators that I found on Amazon that insulate the fence from the fence post, which is ground. And so this, as I say, lights up, okay, it electrifies the panels. With these, because we have a lot of chickens and we're always using carabiners on these to join the corners. All you need is one of them to touch, and now you've connected the whole circuit. What they recommend is you can just reach over and turn off your Energizer, and then you can open up your corner. Obviously, you're going to use more fence posts. Okay, this is the best I could do. When it was raining earlier tonight, I was like, I'm doing 4 and that's it. But it's something to think about. It's not that hard to do a pseudo-permit kind of temporary enclosure. You can go ahead, you can go into Murdoch's, you can go into Big R. They have a whole aisle of stuff on electric fence. If you don't want to do the panels, I kind of like the panels because to me it looks solid. They say that it's good if you like put a sponge soaked in like bacon grease and you hang it here so that the bear comes up and goes, I smell bacon. Comes up and it zaps his nose, his or her nose. Get their interest, put something on here that smells really good. Okay? Just kind of hang it on there, tie it on there, do whatever, but they're going to come up and when they're smelling it, they're going to understand what the fence is all about. Okay? Ma'am?
I love this panel. That's awesome. You say the whole panel is electrified, so what about on the ground? This is my normal horse electric fence. You gotta make sure no weeds or anything, whatever what's out.
The leaves? Making sure the grasses? Yeah, as they say, so I hung it low because I was trying to get stability in the building, but, give a little bit of space, okay? Now, this one, I've had grass up against this. This is the same one that I had in the apiary picture that was a couple slides ago. And I've had grasses leaning against it. It's not too bad. Yeah, so, but they do say be mindful of grass, anything that's touching the fence. You want to try to keep it clean, turn it off, clean out from underneath it, get the weed edger out, get that grass there so that this isn't grounding anything. That way you will get the full, I think this is a 1 joule system. So, so that'll get the full shock. So watch out for that. I'm sorry? You could. I'm not. I'm just, I'm like, I'm going to put these up. I have 2 of these to do because I spread my apiaries out. I have 10 hives. I have 6 over here. I have 4 over here. No, I have 3 over there. 5, 3, and then 2 down in the old apiary. I'm hoping not to have any problems this year. So I like the design. I like just using the fence posts. I like hog panels because to me it looks solid. I don't want it to just see the wires and go, oh yeah, I can just go right in. To me, this looks like kind of a blockage. Also, if you do this, make sure you put up a little sign that says electric fence. You can buy the little yellow tags or just do anything. Yellow duct tape, electric, do something. You can follow these designs on the Colorado Parks and Wildlife website. I don't think they're that great, but they are a reference design. You can go into YouTube. You can find a whole bunch of videos on building bear fence. Some use posts with wires. Some do this. So it's there is a ton of options. If you want to go big, you can. This is a 4x8. So I started with two 16-foot panels, $27 each. Big R, that charger, $219. It's a really good deal. It's inexpensive and it works great. So these are $27 for a 16-foot panel. So you do the math, round up, $30 for a 16-foot panel. I'm planning on doing two 16s and then probably using these two 8s for the end, just because I want space. Okay, when I feed, I want to be able to just open up the gate. Normally what they do, you just unhook one end, you can open it up, stroll in there. I'm just going to open up one whole end. I'll probably put a fence post right here and one right here. So I have lots of room to work. I don't want the fence in my way.
What's a comfortable size for 2 beehives?
This. Any suggestions? But I think this 4x8 is good for 2 beehives. You can kind of look at it and go, I'd have them facing the front, but you're going to need a little way to get in the back. Maybe make these 6 foot. Because if you have a beehive, they're facing the front. I like to work beehives from the side, but I still need to be able to walk around behind them. But you can also open up the ends.
I've seen 4 foot, so they can't reach through, because they can, depending on your setup.
They can get through. So a little bit more space. It'll give you more distance from the panel. Okay. There's some also, I'll leave in this. And then just so you know, this is a resource for all of us. I'm probably going to take this and I'm going to put it onto the website, members only section. I'm just going to create a page with all these links, and we're going to call it Bear Resources. And so I'm going to put that, and maybe Mike, you can help me make sure I do it right. But and then we'll also have this in the PDF of our slide deck that we send out. This is kind of a fun video. And do we have your hotspot running? Let's see if we can do this. If not, we can use mine. So, any questions so far? What we're going to do is we're going to watch, it's an 11-minute video of how to build this, and gives you kind of an idea. And it's a video by, once again, the Colorado Division of Wildlife. Parks and Wildlife. Any questions so far while Anne's? And just click the link. That might be easier if it's not. You can exit the slideshow and just open up the window. Yeah. Went over the cattle panels. Now, it not from within PowerPoint.
Oh.
Let's just stop the slideshow and click the link, and it'll open up a browser. There you go. Double click. Okay, right click. Yeah, bears, they climb trees. They climbed cattle panels as well. I don't know if they'll climb buildings.
From idea to submission, empower students to do their best work.
These ads, we'll get through the ads. There you go. Full screen.
Hi, my name is Brian Westerberg. I work for Colorado Parks and Wildlife's Game Damage Unit. The purpose of this video today is to show you how to prevent bear damage on your property when you have beehives or small livestock. This is a real simple setup, so it's not much of a headache. What we have is 4 T-posts and some wire grid panels that we set up for our perimeter, and the rest is just setting up your electrical system. First thing I'm going to do today is measure out my 8x8 area. To keep your fence from grounding out, we need to cut all the weeds around the perimeter. That way it'll be well maintained and it won't ground out. It's necessary to start your T-posts about 3 squares in from each edge on these wire panels. A must-need tool for this fence build is to have a post pounder for your T-posts. These T-clips are plastic insulators that are used to keep the wire grid panels away from the T-posts from grounding out. We need to hang 3 on each T-post and line them up with each line on the grid. First, while installing the insulators, we need to line up our grid so we know where to put the insulators. We want the bottom to be about 3 to 4 inches off the ground. These T-clips aren't the easiest to put on, so what you got to do is you want to put the corner of the T-clip or the T-post right on this corner here.
I agree. They were a
Just
pain.
like this, put it on the side like that, and then you just turn it on until it clicks in. And then lastly, you want to get this back piece to click in, so you just push hard in the center of it, and it'll flex right over. So what we're going to do now is we're going to lift up this panel, we're going to hook it onto the top row. That way I can set up the next few T-clips. Now that we have our plastic insulators up and we have the panels on the sides, we can lift up our other panels to hang onto the sides of our parallel panels. What we're going to do now is we're going to hog ring these corners with about 3 to 4 hog rings on each side. With these hog rings now, we're going to latch onto these corners, bringing both panels together. That way they'll be nice and tight and they won't fall off. Channel locks or an actual hog ring specified tool are the best to use for putting on these hog rings on the corners. When choosing where to put your gate, you're going to want to choose the side that has most likely the longest tines. That way they can just hang on without having to hog ring anything, and then we bungee strap them after. So what we're going to do is we're going to hog ring this corner and then allow this corner to swing open and closed. Because this is the corner to my gate, I'm going to put a couple extra hog rings if I have them. That way I'll use as many as I can to make it stronger, since this one's going to open and close. Now that we have our fence up, the last part is just finishing our gate. This is what we use to open and close our door. So for this gate right here, all you got to do is hook the bungee strap and attach it to the opposite side. Now, to electrify our fence, these are the components that we're going to need to do that. We have our solar panel, which is 5 watts. We have a 12-volt fence charger, and then we have our battery, which is a 12-volt, 14 amp hour battery. This setup is wired from the solar panel to the battery, the charger to the battery, and then we have our positive and negative clips. This goes to your fence, and the ground goes to your ground rod, which is right here. For this project, you only need 1 ground rod. we're going to do now is we're going to put our ground rod in. The best is the deeper the better. So if you only have a few inches hanging out of the ground, that works just fine. This part is optional, but I suggest this way because I know it works well. What I'm going to do is put a T-post in the ground, or you could use a wood post, any type of post that you could mount, say something like this on, where I could hang it just like this, and then attach my solar panel right here so that it's in direct sunlight throughout the day. And then also below this, I can attach my, my charger for my electric fence. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drill some screws in to hold my solar panel from falling off. That way it's mounted onto this platform. Now I'm going to put a couple screws on the top. That way it's in place nice and tight. Next step in this process is to attach the solar panel cable to my battery by putting the red cable onto the red hook and the black cable onto the black hook. Screw them in tightly, and now my battery is set up with my solar panel, so my solar panel can give power to my battery during the day. The reason I've placed all this in the corner over here is to keep everything away from this section. That way you can put your beehives over here. This fence is typically for hobbyists, so it's going to carry about 1 to 4 hives. Now, with my board in place, I can install my charger underneath it. That way it keeps it a little bit more out of the weather. They're made to handle it, but the best is to keep it out of it if you can. So what I'm going to do is attach a wire and hook it around my T-post here to keep it so it stays held up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to attach these to our charger. These connectors on the end slip right onto our little screws on the end here, and then we screw them in tight with these bolts. If you look underneath here, it says ground and the other one says fence. So our red one is going to go with our fence. Now that I have these connected, I'm going to connect my black clip alligator clamp to my ground rod. And my red clip is going to attach to the fence here. The fence is not electrified yet because I haven't hooked my charger up to the battery. Once these are hooked to the battery, then it's live. Before I do that, I'm going to put a warning sign on my fence. Included in our fence kit is a warning electric sign. This way people can notice and see that on both sides it says that this is an electric fence, do not touch. So I'm going to attach this just with a little piece of wire, and it doesn't matter where, just anywhere on the fence here, probably just up on top like this. Now that the fence is nearly complete, the last step before hooking these up is to unattach my red clip that goes to my fence and just hang it over so I can grab it from the outside. Now that I've done that, the fence won't be hot when I hook up to the battery. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my black clip and my red clip. The black clip goes on the ground, which is the black one with the negative sign. My red clip goes on the positive with the plus sign, and it's red. Now I'm going to close my gate, latch the bungee straps. Right now my fence isn't electrified yet. The last step is to reattach this cable. As soon as I do that, the fence is hot. I'm going to keep it like this so I can grab it from the outside and unattach it. I don't want to leave it out like this too much because the bear could knock it off and then your fence won't be electrified anymore. So just keep it straight up and down like this, maybe even a little tilted back, because you can reach in and turn it off just like this. Now my fence is electrified, so I don't want to touch it. Now to re-enter into my enclosure here, I'm going to have to unattach the red cable with the alligator clamp, and then the fence won't be electrified anymore. Give it a second after you unattach it before touching. Now my fence is off. Make sure not to touch any metal on here, because I just got zapped. Now, for extra safety, since we're not using this little part here, this open area of metal that you see here, you could cover up with electrical tape. That way it won't give you a shock if you touch it. There you have it, folks. This is a completely assembled 8x8 Beeyard. Nice and easy. All you have to do, if you're having any problems, you can call us at CPW Game Damage Unit.
Hey, Doug. Oh. So that charger over there that I got at Big R does not have that open little metal piece. The funniest part of that whole thing is when he shocks himself. And the other thing is that I think, like on this design over here, you can also use some wire just to tighten up those corners. Just wrap some wire through there and twist it, and it's pretty good. So, who's gonna go out and Mike?
You know what part of Colorado he's in where he could drive fence posts by hand?
I know.
I was like, what if you have 70
My-
rocks sticking out?
It had just rained.
Does the voltage come automatic, or can you set it?
It's all part of the charger. So they say they measure it in joules, and they say for bears you want 0.7 joules. Okay, the one Big R, I think that's a one joule. So and I've gotten shocked by that one, and it'll wake you up. But yeah, but and then the 3 joules, they can go even further because they measure them by how many miles, because a lot of them are for running cattle way out. And so, but you know, go big or go home, that's what they say. Yeah, so who's going to go out? Who's thinking about building a bear fence this winter? Anyone?
I have a question, another question.
Yes, ma'am.
On the unwelcome bans, what's the legality if you put it, because I have a fenced-in yard where my geese and chickens are. Could I put the unwelcome mat all the way around?
Yeah. Yes.
If you do it, you should spray paint it like fluorescent orange.
The question
Yeah.
is, what's the legality of the unwelcome mat?
Yeah. So.
Say, you have a duty to warn human beings
Yes.
Yeah.
that it's a dangerous condition. And that they enter their risk.
Ma'am? I'm sorry, I can't hear.
Pulsing or constant?
It's pulsing. Sure is. And this one's really nice because it has a meter, so you can tell where your battery's at. And mine lasted forever. It was crazy. I've had it for like 5 years. It's still good. Christy?
And you can hear it when it's clicking, or at least I can. But with the unwelcome mat, I went to a neighbor who had actually his shed stored all his equipment. He had unwelcome mat out front with multiple rows of tack strip upside down, which is enough that it won't go through your shoe, but it certainly will get your attention if you step on it.
The carpet tack
Signals.
strip. That's a great idea.
Yeah, but it only works if they step on it, right? So it's gotta be a wide enough spot for the bear's stride to get it, so.
Great. Nice charger. I was like, hey.
Why did he install the whole electrical unit on the inside of the fence?
So the
instead
bear,
of the outside.
so the charger is protected from the bear.
Okay.
Because he could come up and just whack the whole thing, and then the cables come off and all that. Smart bear. They are smart. I couldn't believe it. They went over, a 5-foot cattle panel. They just climbed right over. They climb trees, so I guess they can climb fences. That's how they got in my backyard to get my trash. They went over.
We passed our chicken coop. I had a big window in the back of it that was like this tall and this wide, and I got my son to put plywood on so he had gone in our chicken coop and out the window and busted it. So he had busted the window, is that working? On the chicken coop. And so we put plywood up, and the second time he came back, he literally pulled the piece of plywood off, put it down next to it. It looked like a person did it. And went in and ate like another half of the chickens. So they're like ridiculously smart and capable. He was very polite. He put it down nicely. He just didn't eat the mean chicken.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what about those flashing lights? I saw, with Fred Dunham on the show, he has these like flashing red lights, the motion detectors. They look like ghosts.
Snake eyes. I think.
Snake eyes, that's
I
it.
believe they're called snake eyes.
Yeah.
We use them for raccoons on our chicken coops, and they've done a really good job. I didn't see anything about
He said he'd choose it for
really
bears.
for bears.
But I was wondering if it'd be a knob.
I have those. I have them around and they're scary at night.
I know.
But they're like a cat. with red
Yeah,
eyes.
yeah. But I haven't seen anything for using the snake eyes LED lights with bears. I don't know. But really? But I know that they're not that expensive. So hey, why not? I like the floodlights. I think they're really cool. Okay, that'll get a little bit bigger predators. And then you can try the snake eyes. I mean, I say throw the kitchen sink in there. And you kind of do it over time, but then you are building up your arsenal, and so you never know. But I've seen the snake eyes. They work well on chicken coops too. Yeah. Christy?
Motion sensor sprinklers, the motion action sprinklers.
Sprinklers?
As well as making sure those help, making sure that it's in full sun. I had one in part shade that didn't have enough zap to nail the bear.
Yeah. So making sure that your solar panel has direct sun, and then also the sprinkler. Yes, it is. This is an all-in-one unit. It's great. And it's got here are the two connectors. The black goes to your grounding rod. That's hopefully sunk really deep. And then this just goes to your fence. And then what's nice about this is that it's got the on and off. Okay? And I like the battery gauge right here. It's very cool. So I can just tell the health of my battery. So I like this. This is my favorite. When I compared them against other bigger zappers, so forth, this one was cheaper. And it was the same one that the Colorado guys gave to me. So, and now I know Christy has one. So I know it has to be good. Christy has 5 of them. I saw them on Amazon. Yeah, you try to get them from Colorado if you can, but I know retail they're $220, big R, Amazon. They also gave me, yeah.
So I went to the website to figure out what to get, and then I ordered it on Amazon, and mine didn't even last 2 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
battery? Yeah. Department of Wildlife will trade it out for you. If
I
you
didn't-
aren't in your tools.
I didn't get it for now.
But if you do though, they'll swap it out for you, so kind of a motor.
Just sign the release. Probably. Cool.
Have a hard thread, just space them closer together.
Yeah. So hopefully nobody has problems with bears. But if you do, come back next year, share your story, because we all have to learn from one another. And I think it's important for us to all share, and so we can learn from one. Oh, yeah? One more? Make them, or you can buy tack strips for carpet.
Question
That's
is where
at
you
Home Depot,
unlock
Lowe's. any of the carpet stores, because that's what the installers use for putting down carpet. That's how they stretch the carpet. So you can do that. Or if you want to get fancy, you can make your own. So go to town on that. I know that one was, I wouldn't do 3-inch nails. I would just have them coming out a little bit, no more than an inch. That's what I would do. I don't want them to be impaled. Yeah, that'd be awful. Okay? All right. Last call. Any other questions on this? Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I think, what time is it? Okay, good. I have to sync because I was off the last time. Okay, so it's 7:30. Why don't we take a 10-minute break? You can come up and look at this. It's not charged, right? You'll find out, won't you? Yes, we'll find out. But you can play around with this, grab a snack. Who brought something to eat today to the potluck? Thank you very much. Thank you. And who will commit to bringing something next time? Thank you very much. All right, very good. And thank you so much. Where's your lovely wife? Oh, there she is. I didn't see her over there. Linda is the one who sort of organizes all of that and keeps us fed, so thank you, Linda. All right. So let's take a 10-minute break. We'll be back here at 7:40. Oh, yes. And there's a tip jar there so we can provide the utensils and whatnot. All right, so at 7:42, we will reconvene.
Test, test.
Okay, there is a commercial.
There you go.
Okay. There's a commercial beekeeper in Monument that's getting out of the business. She's selling all of her hive equipment. Her name is Dee, and I have a phone number for her. If you're interested, come and get her phone number.
So she has a little bit of everything?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it was a couple hundred hives.
Last time I was out there was about a month ago, and she had initially just over 1,000 hives. Her husband passed, and
1,000.
she's been selling for a while.
So she's down to a couple hundred at this point. And are there bees in them? No, it's just the equipment.
But there's some interesting stuff. Like she had a barrel, dolly, and stuff like that. They had a pretty good commercial operation, and they were going up to California. She's lovely, and she's really going to give you. She's ready to
Cool. All right. So if you need a deal, that's where you go. If you don't want to pay for an extractor and you want to use the club's extractor, you need to call Mr. Doug Wilson back in the corner there. This is his phone number and his website, or I'm sorry, his email. He does not accept texts. You must call him, do the old-fashioned way, or send him an email. Doug, anything to report on equipment? Are we?
Everything's working well. We got our big extractor fixed, so.
Okay. Our big extractor, the legs broke, but we got those fixed. So yes.
You don't mind. I haven't, let's say about the extractors, I haven't lubricated mine in a long time. I finally got some food grade lubricant. Do you just squeeze it down in there? Put some on my finger, wipe it down in the hole. Down in it? Yeah, do that. Thank you. Yeah, that's working fine.
Okay. Cool. All right. All right, we'll go through a few announcements and then we can do question answers. So, the Golden Bee, last month Janice had it, and we give the bee as a monthly award to someone who has shown given great service to the club and gone above and beyond. And I can't get it out of its little sack. There we go. It's a lovely antique bee hood ornament. Very nice. And I don't know if you realize that we are all being broadcast on YouTube today, and it's all because of Tim Thompson here, who is also, he does double duty. He's our producer, if you will, executive producer of the Southeast Beekeeping Club, and he is our swarm commander, and he did a fabulous job this year. So Tim, you get the Bee Award today. I'll let you put it back together. Whoops. There you go. All right. Next up, we are having an apiary class this month. It will be Saturday, September 21st. Pray that it does not snow. I know it's hard to think about, but that could happen. And it's going to be run by Mark Pomeroy in the back there. And Mark, why don't you just stand up and say a word about what you're gonna teach?
So we're going to start talking about winter prep and different strategies. There's different approaches for ventilated hives or condensing hives, and kind of cover the both, and kind of the advantages of either, and why not cross the streams and try to do both at the same time. That's a bad thing. And so we'll be talking about strategies for winter art.
All right. Yes, ma'am. No, that's. Yes, yes. So if you've never been, you need to know that you need to wear your gear. It's at the Parker Water and Sanitation. If you're on did you sign up as a member tonight?
I will.
Okay. Okay. So we usually send them an email. I think I also put it on our Facebook page, the address where it is. It's behind a locked gate. So we have to all drive in together, and then the gate locks behind us. So, but yes, you do need to bring, just like this picture, you have to bring all your gear. And is Kimberly here tonight? Oh, there you are. And that's her sweet little daughter, Amelia, who helped us with our mite test. It was adorable last time. All right, don't forget the CSBA winter meeting. If you like tonight, imagine an entire day of this, which is the CSBA winter meeting. You get a whole day's worth of instruction on various topics, and it is going to be this year, November 2nd, up in Berthoud. The night before, November 1st, I believe there's a meet and greet at a brewery or something like that. They do have discounted hotel rooms, but you have to get them before September 22nd. So time's a-wasting if that's what you would like to do. Go to the Colorado State Beekeeping Association website, and you can get all that information. Other news, and I'm sorry this is a little bit small. CSBA has, the Colorado State Beekeeping Association, has some money that they is burning a hole in their pocket, and they want to give it to a charity. So they have a fund that's there for charitable contributions, and they're just soliciting ideas. So if you know an organization that is supportive of bees or pollinators, I think that's kind of what they're looking for. If you have an idea, just go ahead and email the CSBA. The other thing that's going on is we now, and I'm not sure all the details on this, and if anybody knows, pipe up, but the Colorado has a bee law. It's called Colorado Bee Law. It has not been enforced since, I believe, the early 90s because it has not been funded. But the Colorado Department of Agriculture has decided to go ahead and hire a state apiarist. And I don't know how they got the money for that, but they've done that. And it's a woman named Shelley Quattlebaum. I know her through the Master Beekeeping Program. And so she is doing some testing right now in conjunction with the APHIS, which is the big federal agency that does biosecurity, and the National Honeybee Pests and Diseases Survey. So she's looking for apiaries to test. She just wants to come and just get a sample of your bees. But you need to have at least 10 hives. So if you have 10 hives and you're willing to help out with science, you should communicate with her. And I've got her email right here. You can also contact her through, I believe, through the Colorado Department of Agriculture. And then we still have some hive hosts, some people who would like to have hives on their land who communicated with us through the Honey Festival this year. And Peter Lund has the list. I have the list as well. I think they're all like Franktown, Pinery, Parker, really close around here. So if you feel like next year you want to be putting a hive somewhere else besides where you have them right now, let us know. We've got those people available or that property available. Of course, what? Do you ever do it without a written agreement? No, no, no. Thank you. If I've done nothing else in 2 years as your president, I want you to all have that knowledge. All right. I think we still have any agritourism signs, or did you sell them all? All right, we got one left, one agritourism sign left. They're $10 each, and Janice has them. Okay, last meeting we unanimously, I believe, passed the new bylaws, which enabled us to then apply for 501c3 status. I checked today, they still haven't said yes or no, we get it, but I did submit everything, and we paid the $200 and whatever to get that on August 20th. What I understand is it will probably take at least a month, so I'm going to keep checking back. But once we have that, it will make us a 501c3, which means any donations you make to the club can be tax deductible. So, all right, as Brian said, next meeting, October meeting, is when we have our elections for the board for next year. And I am term limited out. I cannot be your president again. Veronica is also term limited out. She cannot be vice president again. And technically, all the jobs are up for grabs. We re-elect a board every year. So please consider running for the board. We need a president, a vice president, a secretary, a treasurer, although Janice has agreed, thank you, Janice, to run again for that. I don't think anybody else is clamoring to do that job. And then we have 3 at-large positions as well. So if you are interested in running for those, please see me. If you have any questions about what those job duties are, you can consult the bylaws. The new bylaws say what is involved in each of those jobs. Yes, ma'am?
Sorry. What qualifications do you have to be eligible?
Just be a member. We don't have any of this. You got to be 35 years old and natural born citizen or any of that stuff. We don't care. You just have to pay your $22 or 25 this year, $25, and you're a member, and we are happy to have you help. Oh, by the way, this would be a good opportunity to thank all of our committee chair people. We already talked about the swarm committee, or the swarm coordinator. That's Tim. Tim's assistant is Cynthia. I don't think she's here tonight. We've got Linda, who does the potluck, or organizing the potluck. Her wonderful husband does the library, brings that library in every time, totes those books in and out. We've got Brian and then Scott Lassard, who's not here, who are apiary managers. And who am I forgetting? Oh, and Diane, who was here, chaired up our booth at the Honey Festival this year. So I want to just say thank you to all those people. Veronica, who's not here, is the state of Colorado representative to the American Beekeeping Federation. And if she were here tonight, she would want me to tell you this, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. The conference is coming, the national conference is coming up in January in Reno. I found out you can take Amtrak to Reno if you want to, from Denver, if you have time to do that. But if you are, this is like a Colorado State beekeeping meeting on steroids. It's like 4 days of beekeeping all day, all night, all the time. There's lots of vendors. You get to see new products, get to see all the latest research. So this is a wonderful thing. And if you would like to sign up for it, it is on the American Beekeeping Federation website, ABF. And there's that QR code if you would like to scan that. All right. Before we go to questions, anybody else have any announcements about events coming up or things that the beekeeping community might be interested in? Okay. Hearing none. What questions do you have for the group? What are your burning beekeeping questions for tonight? Oh, come on. Yes.
You and I talked last, I can't remember if it was last fall or last spring, but I had 2 hives that went from friendly hives in the fall. It happened in October-ish, so coming up on a year from a year ago. They went from friendly bees to extremely mean bees. And I know that we've had different reports of people having their hives becoming really angry. And so I'm curious if anybody else has experienced that. I had to requeen. I requeened in the spring. I just boxed them up for the winter and stayed away, and then I moved the hives and put them down someplace where they couldn't see people. But there's a couple things. One, be mindful of queens that are producing bees that are becoming really angry.
And the other thing that I was using to measure the angriness of my bees is how far away, after I finished working the hive, how far away I could walk with them still on me. And normally it's about 25, 30 feet. I was, my hives, and I talked to you about it, they were so mean. And I mean, I'd have to suit up in armor. They would go 100 yards, a football field. And I think they had found, I think they're Africanized, but there's something.
Didn't we talk, we had thought about that maybe another, it was like a swarm that had come and taken over.
Took over my hive.
I can't remember what the word is. Does anybody remember the word?
Did they have plenty of resources and everything?
Yeah.
Springs, all that was good?
And weren't there like a lot of
Because
bees?
overnight in October, all of a sudden, I went through and it's like I needed a third box.
Brian is just so sweet, they're attractive.
No. But I remember the night because I opened it up and I was like, oh, I know, put a little feed in there. You know, it's October, everyone's happy, laid back, and they attacked me. And I was like, and there were bees just falling out of the hive. And I remember that night, I put a third box on in October. I was like, these bees have to go somewhere, I need to build it on. But if anybody else has similar things, I'd love to talk to you about it. I'm curious if it's a problem. I know that we've had a lot of reports this summer about people with really angry genetics.
I heard you
Yeah.
sell those off to this dude on Craigslist.
Well, it's funny you say, are they Africanized? I had an opportunity to travel in Africa a couple years ago, and this is a bee I took a picture of in the swimming pool at the place I was staying in Africa. And I was like, oh my God, it's an Africanized bee. I have to take a picture of it. Interestingly, I found out there were actually like 6 or 7 different subgroups of African bees, of honeybees in Africa. And the guy that brought them to Brazil in the 60s and interbred them with the European honeybees brought the one that was the absolute most aggressive one. And so that's why now that's our problem. I'm on the New Mexico beekeepers Facebook page, and they have a lot of problems with it in New Mexico. And I'm worried that as we have more warming of the climate, they're going to be maybe moving north. We also sometimes, I think what happens is, you know, these bees are being trucked around the country, and it's entirely possible that as they drive through Colorado, you know, some of those genetics bleed out. Now, whether they can overwinter here, I don't know. Yours overwintered, right? They were still mean in the spring.
They were.
So,
Yeah, but it takes so long. When you requeen, the day you requeen, you've got 9 weeks until the last of those eggs that were laid today for them to die off. And so it's over 2 months waiting for those mean ones to die. And I mean, I would open the lid and the bananas. You know, that alarm pheromone, immediately. It was bad.
yeah.
And I go back and forth on whether or not I should have just dispatched the hive altogether.
Yeah, I mean, that's always an option. Just get rid of them.
But
So,
I think we need to be, as a club, we need to be watching for it, we need to be mindful of it, and it's a discussion.
yeah.
You know, and if you're having that, I think it'd be really worthwhile. Talk to Ann, talk to me. I'd love to have the discussion. I want to know if it's getting worse. I'm really curious about it. And maybe, Ann, you could take that to the CSBA roundtables with the other presidents.
Okay.
And even bring that up.
Okay. Yeah, that's,
If you think it's.
yeah, I will. I will.
I checked a hive for a friend last Sunday, and it was in the back of one area for 7 acres. And they were very aggressive. And then we got done, and then we walked and went down by our barn, went to the horse. I probably had 3 to 5 bees still all over me.
Yeah.
So I can relate to that for this hive.
But I've had temperamental bees this summer that chased the lady, my neighbor
they're stinging, and that's going to bring, we've been working on our HOAs to allow for bees in, and we don't want to give our hobby a bad name. And so I think that if we do have situations that become problematic over time, then as a club, we should be there for one another, and we have resources and we can help move hives. It was 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was moving hives, trying to get them out of my neighborhood. But it's stuff like that I think we need to be mindful.
Yeah.
And be thinking about it, because we don't want to bring a bad name to our hobby.
This sort of brings up the whole idea of, as a club, we need to work on sustainability, that we need to be mindful about not importing bees if we can help it. Let's figure out which of our bees we like, and let's propagate off of those and share those genetics. Did anybody take Brian Zavada up on, he came and talked to us several months ago about sustainability. Did anybody take him up on the offer to have them come test? And so, Christy, what did he find out?
Some of them were.
You didn't have any? Okay.
The word we're looking for is usurpation. They usurp.
Thank you. Usurpation. Yes, that's what happened. That's what we think happened to Brian's hive, was that another colony came in. Okay, so none of yours were genetically appropriate. Okay. Janice, did you?
I just had a comment. I've got a couple of hives now that are very aggressive, and I'm worrying about them robbing my smaller colony hives and interbreeding too.
Yeah.
So I'm just about ready to
Something
just send them off over the bridge.
Sell them on Craigslist.
some thoughts on things you can do if you see an increase in defensive behavior. Feed. Make sure they're not hungry. Make sure you've got a small entrance, because I've seen a lot of wasps and hornets around trying to rob.
Yep.
And if they're being aggravated by wasps and hornets, they'll increase their defensiveness. Check for mites. This is when you get your mite bombs, and sick bees are more aggressive. And check for your laying pattern, because if your queen is failing, or if they're not queen right, then they'll get crabby as well. And also pay attention to when you're checking it. Is there a cold front coming through? Is it windy? Is it late in the afternoon? Yeah. Is it too hot? Try and the tells of your dog, and when not to go and poke it. Same with this animal, right?
Anybody else experiencing that, having the increased aggression, their bees this year? Okay. The other thing we all need to kind of think about at this time, and I'm sure Mark will talk a little about this at the apiary class, if you have, this is the time of year when you want to think about maybe consolidating hives. If you've got, a couple of weak hives, maybe you just don't worry about trying to baby them through the winter, combine them with a stronger hive. I'm a fan of the newspaper method, with the strong hive on the bottom, piece of newspaper, put the weak hive on top, and I just let them fight it out. I've never had a problem with that. So, and it's, you come back a week later and they're all one family. So they kill one of them. Yeah, usually the stronger hive will kill the weaker queen. If you want to, you can go find that queen and kill her and pinch her. But I have a hard time finding my queen sometimes, and sometimes I'm just not okay with it. So, yeah. So, anybody else have any questions, comments, observations about what's going on in your colonies right now? No? Yes.
So with the honey flow being as strong as it was this year, when is like the drop dead date to extract and spin, and if you have honey that's not capped?
What do you do?
What are people doing?
Okay. Anybody want to answer that? What do you do with honey that's not capped? I'll tell you what I did. I have a bunch of them where like one side is fully capped and the other side is full but no cappings. But you do the shake test and it won't come out. I'm going to go in and actually do the refractometer and see if that honey is ripe. Even though, yeah, if it's dry enough, I'll just extract it. If not, what I do, I take those partially filled frames and put them in the freezer just to make sure there's no wax moths or anything, and I put them in the freezer for at least 48 hours, take them out, wrap them real tight in a plastic bag, and just hold them till the next year and put them back on. Yes?
I was watching an interview with a guy, and he had high humidity, and he put his supers on bricks, so there's ventilation on the bottom, and he put a fan.
Oh, like a box fan. Oh.
And he was like, 3 days, I'll come back, and I'll be down 3% humidity.
That's brilliant. Who was?
Joe and Debbie.
Oh, Joe and Debbie Comperta. Okay. Yeah, they moved to North Carolina where it's like 90% humidity all the time. So.
It was, I totally planned. That's my new favorite method.
Yeah.
Box fan. That's
Box fan. Okay.
Goodwill has cheap box fans.
Okay.
And if you put it under a screen bottom board, then stuff like mice or whatever can't
Yeah.
climb up. But you can stack them as tall as you are, throw that box fan on top and dry them all out at once.
Cool. All right. But I would say now is the time to get those honey supers off unless you're going to leave them on over the winter for some reason. Do not leave a honey super with a queen excluder over the winter, because if those bees decide they need to move up and eat that, the queen will get left behind, and then you're stuck. So, all right. Well, shall we move on? Crud cutter confessions. Who has one? Yes, ma'am.
I got stuck in the middle.
Come on, you have to come up here.
Oh, no, I don't want
Yeah. Do you want a bottle of crud cutter or not? Okay.
I got stung right here on my knuckle. You can see it.
And how did that happen?
I was checking a hive for a friend. And I didn't wear my bee gloves. I wore different leather gloves that had fabric right here. And I'll be darned if that one girl didn't find that knuckle and stung me.
All right. So you got to wear the proper equipment.
Well, it was my...
So who else has a story? Oh, come on. Yes. You have to come up here. You have to come up here. Speak into the microphone.
So these two characters are helping us. We've got two new hives at Affinity Ranch, used to be Praying Hands. And so I was taking my turn to inspect the hive of our very nasty bees, very nasty girls, we found out. So they're telling me how to do it and how to, separate the little frame doodahs. And so I finally get a frame and I pull it up and I'm like, well, that one looks, and I'm looking around and they're all gone. These guys, 25 yards away from me. And I'm all alone. I'm like, oh, I got stung. And I'm like, oh. And so I finally figured out that they were being real naughty, and I have like 6 bites on my arm here. And but it was so funny just to be there talking away and pulling my frame up. Well, how do you think it looks? And everybody's gone.
All right. Who else has a story? We can do one more. All right. Get it off the chest. Get it. This is what it is. It's crud cutter confession.
Okay, so I guess it was last weekend. And so I have a flow hive. I'm going to confess that right there. And it worked. It worked. But you don't need the whole suit on to harvest the honey. And so I'm going back and forth. And I decided to put the jacket on because there was one girl that was mad and she came and got me right on the forehead. And so I'm like, all right, I'll put the jacket on with a hood, but I had on shorts. And I'm just going back and forth. And then my son had a football game, and I'm thinking, I got to get to the football game, and I just really want to get the super off. And so I'll just grab it, not thinking that I was not in a full suit. And so I just pull the super off, and all the bees come out in the middle.
all over my legs and my rear end. And my husband's not home, and I only have my kids, and I'm thinking I can't get them to pull the stingers out of my rear end. And so I'm standing there like yanking clothes off in the laundry room, trying to I use vinegar and ammonia because my brother was allergic to bees, and ammonia is what we used to use for him. And so I'm like covering myself in vinegar and ammonia, and it was like all along yeah. I had like 20 stings. So moral of the story is remember what you're wearing for equipment before you think you can pull a super off a hive.
Okay, all right. All right. So we will judge this by the applause. Oh, wait. Yes, please, come up. Yes, you have to come up here and tell your story.
All right. So like I said, I'm new to this. So when I was in Bennett, I knew a beekeeper, and I got to help him a little bit before I moved back. Anyway, long story short, it was at his house, and he had this massive dog door because we had Colorado Mountain Dogs. I don't know if you guys know what those are. They're like Great Pyrenees mixed with Anatolian Shepherd. So they're very big. I have one. I have two, actually. One's 155 pounds, and she's going to be 4, if that's any indicator. So imagine that type of dog with very long hair, and he had his bees behind the backyard in somewhat of a carport. Anyway, so I'm there helping, and all of a sudden I just hear screaming, and I'm like, what's going on? And he's like hitting himself. I don't know what happened, but the Colorado Mountain Dog ran out the dog door trying to go help because his owner was screaming and he didn't know what was going on. And all of a sudden the Colorado Mountain Dog came back in screaming himself because he had 2 bees. One stuck on the outer edge of his fur, wrapped up, and one right on his skin, on his hind. So I had the person screaming, and I had the dog screaming, and the dog was running, hitting the other dog, so I didn't know which one to take care of first. I ended up going for the dog, and by the time I walked out the door, sorry, he's more helpless. So by the time I got out the door, the man was running down the road, and he was stripping. So he had his shirt off, his pants were coming off, he was still hitting himself, he was barely in his boxers, and I was like, you got it. You'll be okay. And I went back inside.
All right. Oh, my goodness. All right, so to recap, we have middle finger to the bees. We've got talking to ourselves and while we're doing it. We have vinegar and ammonia.
Oh, that's how you treat it, yeah.
That's how you treat it, but 20 stings in the tushy. And we have Colorado Mountain Dog with the bees. So we will grade these by applause, and I'm the judge, and my decision is final. So let's start with the middle finger bees. Applause. All right. Talking to herself with the bees. And bees in the Mountain Dog. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, you know what? I think there was a tie. The last two. Where's my box? Oh, it's under here. I actually have 2 bottles, so I'll give one.
You know what? I can.
Come get yours after I put everything away, because I've got one in here. Okay, very good. The reason we tell these stories is so we all learn from each other, and we realize that everybody makes mistakes when they keep bees. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do the raffle. Just want to let you know that next meeting we are going to be talking about, we're going to have the board elections, and we will also talk about mead. I've got a young man who came up to me at the honey festival and said, can I please buy a 5-gallon bucket of honey? And I said, I don't have a 5-gallon bucket of honey. And I think I sent him over to Perry, because Perry was at one of the other booths. But then he came back and bought a quart for me and a quart from Janice and kind of figured it out. But anyway, he is very into making mead, and so he's going to come and talk to us about mead making, and I think bring a few little samples, maybe. And then I don't know
How long does it take to make mead? Like from start to drinking it? Like
Start to drinking it?
Yeah.
Depends on how thirsty you
She
are.
can't drink this.
Well, I thought I read it was like years. Like you had to let it sit for a few years.
Well, I'll tell you that, like, to get it to the point you can put it in a bottle is what, like a 6-week thing
Oh, that's
usually. Not. It depends. You are measuring it all the time. That's what he's doing right here. Is measuring the sugar level and the alcohol content. And when it gets where you want it, then you put it in a bottle. But anyway, he'll tell you more about that. But I had some mead I made, and it wasn't all that great. And we just kind of left it down there and kind of forgot about it. And a year later, my husband brings it upstairs and says, "You want to try this?" And I'm like, "Sure." It was lovely. It was so much better after it aged. So anyway, all right. Yes.
Do we get to drink the mead before the election?
Depends on if I've convinced anybody to run. If you're convinced to run, I'm going to make it drink. And then you'll have to. All right. Well, let's go ahead and do the raffle. Do you have your tickets? Oh, yes. All right. So get out your tickets. I'll just, while she does that, I'll tell you what we have here. We have 2 bags of smoker fuel. We have Diane from the Pollywog Station Lavender Farm donated some lavender, fragrant lavender mist and 2 little bags of dried lavender. This is a craft square of burlap that you can use for making some crafts. It's got honeycomb on it. These are cute little bees you can put on a cake. They're cake decorations. We have a couple of pieces of jewelry. We've got a magnifying glass. It's made of plastic, so great to just stick in your toolbox. And if you're trying to see that queen or see what's going on with those eggs, this is great. And then we have a garden flag. So kind of girly stuff, guys, but for the wife.
Take it home.
When you're president's a girl, you're gonna get girly stuff. All right. So get out your ticket. I'm just gonna call the last 3 numbers. 1, 3, 4. All right. All right. 165. All right. 167. All right, Patrick. 168.
Right there.
All right, I'm gonna shake it up. Here, Karen, you draw this one. So they don't think it's rude.
She draws her own.
166, I'm sorry. 166? Not here? All right, I'll do it myself this time. 132. 132. Yay. 133. What? No, that's not. Sorry. I should have said it on the tape. I know, that's a nice roll of tape. All right. 147. Nobody? They left. 146.
That's David.
All right. 177. All right. 173. All right. 171. All right. I like it when the new people win stuff. 169. All right. Boy, you cleaned up tonight. All right. Is that it? Oh, that's all? Okay, well, that's it. Okay, well, if you could please help us by moving the chairs into the storage room, that would be great. Thank you for coming, and we'll see you next time.